Welcome to Recap Regalia. Today, we delve into the thrilling Thai series, Bad Genius. Get ready to be captivated by this extraordinary storyline as we uncover the twists and turns that lie ahead. Our story starts with an exciting scene at the end of a Scrabble competition for junior high school students. Lynn, a talented and determined young girl, is competing against Sarawis, a student from a different school. Lynn's father, Vit, and the principal of the prestigious school are watching the intense match. The principal promises to give Lynn a full scholarship if she wins. However, something unexpected happens when Sarawis, who seems to be struggling, purposely drops an eraser. Lynn notices that Sarawi's mentor secretly switches the eraser with one that has the answers written on it. Realizing Sarawis is cheating, Lynn privately confronts him without letting the judges know. In a clever move, she writes the word cheater as her final word, ensuring her victory in the match. The crowd cheers and applauds Lynn's impressive accomplishment, and she receives certificates of honor. One fateful day, while Lynn is practicing the piano at school, she crosses paths with a classmate named Grace. Grace approaches Lynn and asks for her assistance in practicing a song for the upcoming school play. She confides in Lynn about her dream of being part of the production. Lynn, being eager to help, takes a seat at the piano and starts playing while Grace sings. However, they encounter difficulties when Grace struggles with certain notes and parts of the song. Feeling disheartened and worried about not being able to secure a role in the play, Grace opens up to Lynn about her concern. She shares that there's a new requirement for participation, which is having a GPA, grade point average, above 3.25. Grace is worried because her GPA falls below that mark. Lynn empathizes with Grace's predicament and understands how important the play is to her. Wanting to support her new friend, Lynn offers to tutor Grace and help her improve her grades. This act of kindness sparks the beginning of a friendship that will have a profound impact on their shared journey. In the following days, Lynn and Grace spend a lot of time studying together in the library. During this time, they come to know that their math teacher, Sophan, also tutors students privately outside of school. Grace, who attends Sophan's private classes, brings a sample question paper that he had given her. Lynn realizes that the questions on the paper are much more difficult than the ones they are taught in regular classes. Despite the challenge, Lynn decides to take on the questions and try to solve them. As the weeks go by, the time for the midterm math exam arrives. At first, Lynn finds the exam questions quite easy and completes them effortlessly. However, she soon realizes that most of the questions are exactly the same as the ones Grace received from Sophan. Lynn's sharp observation uncovers a troubling truth: Sophan has been providing test questions to students who pay for his private coaching outside of school. In a quick and clever move, Lynn writes down the answers on an eraser and hides it in her shoe. Then she kicked the shoe back to Grace, who sent her own shoe back. Unfortunately, she kicked it too hard, and it ended up in the middle of the classroom. Thankfully, Lynn quickly solved the problem by standing up and stepping on the shoe as she went to hand in her finished test. Grace used the eraser and successfully passed the test with a 3.87 GPA. To celebrate, Grace invited Lynn to hang out at her pool, where they were joined by Grace's boyfriend Pat, who was also rich. Grace told him about their little trick during the test, and Pat saw an opportunity. He offered Lynn a huge amount of money to help him and his friends cheat on all their exams. At first, Lynn said no, pointing out that she didn't need it. But then Pat revealed that even with a scholarship, her father was still paying administrative fees. When Lynn went home, she searched her father's desk and found the paperwork confirming Pat's information. Her dad was paying lots of money with his small teacher salary, which made Lynn cry. After Lynn's dad went to bed, she continued practicing on the piano and realized that her fingers could be used for signaling while playing. The following day, Lynn accepted the job and taught the group how they would obtain their answers. Since the test consisted of multiple choice questions, she assigned each letter to a specific hand pattern, and the students only needed to memorize the corresponding patterns. This allowed them to disguise their practice sessions as piano lessons, ensuring that the money they earned was legal and providing them with an alibi for any future investigations. From that point on, the group started cheating on every exam, and their method proved to be successful. Lynn would subtly move her hand on the desk, appearing completely innocent, while the others simply observed her movements. The teachers never suspected anything, and everyone achieved excellent grades on their exams. The business quickly grew, and more students were willing to pay for the answers each day. Lynn used the money she earned to help out at home and even bought her father a nice new shirt. Although everyone now had passing grades, Lynn remained the top student in her class, with Bank being the second best. A bright student from a poor family is actually Lynn's rival all along. Both of them received scholarships from the school due to their academic abilities. Bank stands in stark contrast to Lynn as he values honesty and integrity, particularly when it comes to academic integrity and cheating during exams. Later, Lynn and Bank are paired together in a competition, where they demonstrate their skills and manage to emerge as the winners. As a result of their victory, the principal informs them about a scholarship opportunity abroad. However, there is only one slot available, instantly making them rivals for the coveted opportunity. Upon returning home, Bank discovers that his mother's laundromat is facing difficulties because the washing machine is broken. Touched by his mother's struggle, Bank selflessly offers to help her with the manual laundry work. The following day, another student named Tong approaches Bank, claiming to have been sick and absent from school. Tong offers money to Bank in exchange for assistance during the exam, but Bank firmly refuses, adhering to his principles. During the exam, Lynn continued using her hand signals as usual. However, Tong hadn't memorized them and kept trying to sneak a look at Lynn's paper. Bank, suspecting Tong would cheat, kept a close watch on him and noticed his attempts to peep. When Bank finished his own exam, he stood up and pretended to trip next to Lynn's desk. He discreetly showed her a note indicating that Tong was trying to cheat, and Lynn pretended to appreciate the warning. Bank handed in his test, informed the teacher about Tong's actions, and left. Unfortunately, the teacher dismissed the warning since the test was divided into 2 sets, making cheating impossible. Lynn and her paying friends panicked upon realizing this, but they quickly used hand gestures to communicate which set they had. Lynn had set A, and she signaled the students in that group to hand in their tests. While that group surrounded the teacher, Lynn exchanged her paper with Tong, who had set B. She rushed to complete the remaining exercises and signaled the answers to the B group. Time was running out, and the teacher approached to collect the papers, but they managed to fill in the answers just in time, ignoring his presence. After the test ended, everyone believed they were in the clear. Bank reports Lynn's cheating incident to the principal. Lynn's father is called to the school to address the situation. The principal reveals Lynn's previous actions and, as a result, her scholarship is suspended. Lynn retaliates by pointing out that the scholarship was not truly full due to additional expenses they had to pay. In anger, the principal also revokes Lynn's chance to apply for an international university scholarship, leaving Bank as the sole candidate. This outcome weighs heavily on Bank, as he regrets the loss of Lynn's opportunity. When Lynn returns home, her father expresses deep disappointment in her, refusing to wear the new clothes she bought for him. He insists that she return the money she earned through cheating. Meanwhile, Grace went to Pat's house for dinner with his parents. They credited Grace for Pat's improvement in school and urged her to apply for the STIC with Pat, offering to cover all expenses. Desperate, Grace called Lynn and asked for her help. Initially hesitant to risk her reputation again, Lynn was persuaded by Grace's appeal to their friendship and the promise of a significantly larger payment. Lynn agreed, but as she left the building, reading the test rules, she realized that cheating the system was impossible. She began writing an apology note but was interrupted by a conversation she overheard between a man and someone in another country. Noticing the clocks displaying different time zones on the wall, Lynn had a brilliant idea. The next day, she shared her plan with Grace and Pat. They would exploit the time zone differences. Lynn would take the test in Australia 4 hours earlier, then pass the answers to Thailand and sell them to anyone interested in taking the test. Grace and Pat's role would be to find more clients to cover expenses. This way, Lynn could also pursue her dream of attending Boston University. However, Lynn realized she would need to memorize the answers to smuggle them out. With limited time after finishing the test, she would only be able to memorize half of it. The only person capable of memorizing the other half was Bank, but they refrained from asking him since he despised cheating. On the night before the scholarship test, Bank was busy making clothing deliveries on his scooter for the laundromat. When he returned home, two thugs cornered him, accusing him of scratching their car with his scooter. They beat him up and left him unconscious in a landfill. When Bank woke up the next morning, he was devastated to realize he had missed the chance to take the exam. Lynn learned about the incident at school and visited Bank, pleading with him to join their plan and promising substantial payment. Initially, Bank refused, but Lynn managed to change his mind by highlighting how the system unfairly exploited and cheated people like them, making it only fair to fight back. With the memorization aspect now covered, they finalized their heist plan. Lynn and Bank would take the exam in Australia and hide phones in the building's toilets. During the exam breaks, they would excuse themselves to send the answers to Grace and Pat. For the final part of the exam without a break, they would pretend to feel sick. Grace and Pat would print the answers on barcode stickers and attach them to pencils, which would be distributed to paying students via bikes just before their flights. Pat's special presentation helped them gain more clients, resulting in substantial earnings. Grace used her editing skills to create fake paperwork, convincing Lynn's dad to sign them under the pretense of participating in the Australian branch of Teen Genius, allowing Lynn to travel without an adult. In the following days, Lynn and Bank practiced with mock exams and hurriedly texted answers to each other in the bathroom to enhance their memory skills. The day before the exam, the group rehearsed their crocodile tears and alibis in case of detection. During Pat's turn, he included a story where he claimed not to know Bank, referring to him as a loser who woke up in a landfill. Bank, furious, attempted to attack Pat, but the girls swiftly intervened and separated them. Bank clarified that he had never revealed anything about the landfill, implying that Pat had paid the thugs to beat him up intentionally, causing him to miss the test and help them instead. Bank decided to withdraw from the plan and left the building. However, while walking on the street, he noticed a laundromat advertisement and contemplated whether he could sustain that kind of lifestyle forever. Disgusted by the events, Lynn also quit. Grace, claiming ignorance about Pat's actions, pleaded with Lynn not to be angry, emphasizing their friendship. Lynn set out to find Bank, who had chosen to rejoin the group to seek compensation for being assaulted. Initially reluctant to assist, Lynn realized that she was partly responsible for Bank's predicament and should take responsibility for rectifying it. A few hours later, Lynn and Bank flew to Sydney. Throughout the journey, an awkward and tense atmosphere prevailed, but eventually, they reconciled and even took a selfie together. On the morning of the test, they concealed phones in the bathrooms and proceeded to the classroom. They successfully completed the first part of the test without any issues, allowing them ample time to memorize the answers. During the first break, Lynn and Bank hurried to the bathrooms to type and send their answers. Bank demanded more money before sending his answers, leading to a conflict with Pat. Eventually, Pat agreed to send him half the money, promising the rest after the test. Lynn and Bank returned to the classroom and quickly finished the second half of the test. However, they faced difficulties during the second break. Bank took longer to remember the answers and in a panic, he broke the toilet lid while trying to flush the phone down. The inspecting officer caught him. Meanwhile, Lynn, who had to wait in line, managed to send all the answers but aroused suspicion for taking too long. She hid her phone in her shoes, escaped the bathroom, and discovered that Bank was being scolded while all the students were being searched. Lynn hid the phone in a water cooler and returned to the classroom. Bank didn't return, so Lynn had to complete the last part of the test alone. She was unsure if she could memorize so much but found her hand moving unconsciously, treating the answers like a music sheet. With little time left, she made herself vomit using a pencil, pretending to be sick. Lynn left the classroom, retrieved the phone, and sneaked out of the building while evading the officers. However, her suspicious behavior was captured on security cameras, and the officers started chasing her. Lynn ran through the subway station, typing the answers while being pursued. Someone accidentally bumped into her, causing her phone's screen to break. Despite the setback, she managed to send all the answers. Eventually, an officer caught Lynn and asked her to come with him for questioning. Before leaving, she discreetly placed the phone in a random person's bag. While Pat and Grace were printing the answers, Lynn's dad showed up. He was worried because Lynn wasn't answering the phone and found the address on the paperwork he had signed. Pat and Grace made up a story about Lynn and Bank being a couple, claiming they went on a trip together, and Lynn lied to her dad because she thought he wouldn't approve. Lynn's dad left, and Pat and Grace finished the stickers just in time to send the pencils to the students. Lynn was called in for interrogation and saw Bank giving his story. He signaled her not to get involved because he was lying to protect everyone. With tears in her eyes, Lynn deleted the picture they took together. When she got home, Grace and Pat were waiting for her, inviting her to a party to celebrate their success. However, Lynn turned them down. She felt terrible because her scores were cancelled, and Bank got suspended, so she refused to help the couple any longer. She pointed out that university exams weren't multiple choice anyway. Lynn called her dad to pick her up, and during the conversation, she had a breakdown and confessed everything to him. As a result, she got expelled from school. Later, Lynn left the group chat, ignoring Grace's pleas to join the party. She had lost a friend, and the victory didn't feel good anymore. Lynn tried to apply to a local university to study education, but the officer reminded her that a teacher needed to impart good morals as well, adding to her guilt. After the interview, Lynn was surprised to receive a text from Bank, asking her to come over. When she arrived at his home, she noticed that he had used the money to significantly improve the laundromat's equipment. Bank explained that he wanted to make more money by helping other students with their tests, assuring her it would be safer with a wider client base. Lynn refused, but Bank threatened to expose the whole affair. Lynn, however, told him she had already made her choice. Sometime later, Lynn went to see the STIC organization and, encouraged by her father, she confessed everything. The story concludes with a request to subscribe to the channel for more videos, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel.